Now the next cycle which we have to discuss is the dual cycle, right? We already studied two cycles, that is the Otto cycle used in SI engine and the diesel cycle which are used in the your diesel cycle or CI engines, right? Now we have the dual cycle. As the name suggests, it is in this cycle the heat addition process is a dual process, right? In the Otto cycle we have the heat addition process we have is the constant volume heat addition. In the diesel cycle we have constant pressure heat addition, but in the dual cycle we have both constant volume and constant pressure heat addition. That means some amount of the heat will be added to the system in constant volume process and some amount of the heat will be added in the system as a constant pressure, right? We are not adding the heat in the system completely in the constant volume or in the constant pressure, right? Because there are some limitations for these, because if you can see that maintaining a constant volume in a cycle is very difficult. Also, if you increase the efficiency of the cycle, if you want to increase the efficiency of the Otto cycle, you need to increase the compression ratio, but you cannot increase the compression ratio up to a certain limit because of the knocking. And also, if you increase the compression ratio of a diesel cycle up to a very high rate, then there is a chance that the cylinder will burst, because inside the cylinder, for a more compression ratio, the pressure inside the cylinder will be more, so it can burst also. So there are some limitations are there. That's why we are using nowadays every cycle, every diesel cycle is, or you can say every diesel engine is using this dual cycle, right? Dual cycle is also known as a semi-diesel cycle because the working fluid, that is the diesel, is same in the diesel cycle and in the dual cycle, right? Working fluid is the same, right? Now, if we talk about the processes of the dual cycle, so first of all, let us discuss some of the important points of the dual cycle. It is also known as semi-diesel cycle. We already see that because the working fluid is same. Now, we talk about that the more heat addition cannot be done on constant volume because there is a chance of bursting of the cylinder, right? Because if at constant volume means that the piston will be at the stop, that the piston will be stopped, then only that constant volume will be maintained in the cylinder. So if you added more heat at that time, then the pressure inside it will be a explosion, right? If at a constant volume, if you add more heat, that more burning of the fluid or the fuel will be there, then it will be resulting in the bursting of the cylinder. So you cannot add more heat at the constant volume. Generally, in the dual cycle, the heat added at the constant pressure is 2 to 3 times more than the heat added at the constant volume, right? Maintaining a constant pressure is very easy, right? As the pressure is increasing because of the combustion, because of that burning of the fuel, you can move the piston downwards so that pressure will be maintained constant. But maintaining a constant volume at the more heat addition, it will result in the bursting, it will result in the explosion, right? So generally the heat added at the constant pressure will be around 2 to 3 times more than the heat added at the constant volume. So we avoid to add more heat at the constant volume process. And the main advantage of the dual cycle is that its size and the maintenance cost will be less, right? And the compression ratio in the dual cycle is less than the diesel cycle, right? The compression ratio is less because some amount of heat is added as a constant volume and some amount of heat will be added at the constant pressure. So the heat which is added at the constant volume will help in increasing the pressure inside the cylinder, and it will help in igniting the remaining diesel which is during the constant pressure process. So the compression ratio we maintain is less. So generally the Otto cycle compression ratio is near to 6 to 10, and for the diesel cycle it is around 16 to 20, and for the dual cycle it is around 12 to 16. These are the compression ratios which are following, right? Generally, the efficiency of the diesel cycle is more than the efficiency of the dual cycle, right? And we will compare all these three cycles in our later discussion, but generally the efficiency of the diesel cycle is more than the efficiency of the dual cycle. So these are some important points which you have to remember, which you need to know about the dual cycle. Now if we talk about the processes of the dual cycle, we have 5 processes in the dual cycle. First one is process 1 to 2 is isentropic compression, right? Isentropic compression, that is the reversible adiabatic. In this, volume will decrease, pressure is increasing, temperature is increasing, and entropy will remain constant because it is an isentropic process. Second is 2 to 3. The process 2 to 3 is constant volume heat addition, right? Then 3 to 4 we have constant pressure heat addition. First we will add the heat at constant volume, then we will add the heat at constant pressure, right? If you ask that why we follow that first constant volume then at constant pressure, because suppose if you are adding the heat at constant pressure first, right? Constant pressure means then that when you are adding the heat, the piston is moving in the downward direction. From top dead center to the bottom dead center, the piston is moving in the downward direction, so that pressure inside the cylinder will remain constant, right? And once the constant pressure heat addition is finished and then you want to add the heat at constant volume, then for the constant volume that this piston must have stopped, then only this constant volume will be in the cylinder. But during the stroke, in between the stroke, when the piston starts moving from top dead center to the bottom dead center, right? When the piston will cover this stroke, there is no point where the piston will stop and the volume will remain constant, right? You cannot stop the piston in between, right? Piston will stop only at that moment when it will change the direction. Suppose the piston is moving from bottom dead center to top dead center. Once it reaches to top dead center, now it has to move in the downward direction. So at that very less time that this piston will stop, and that is the constant volume point, right? It is not possible that you can stop the piston in between the stroke. It is not possible, practically not possible. So we are adding heat first when the piston will reach at its top dead center, and when it stops for a very less time, then we add some heat, that is the heat addition at constant volume. And after that, when piston start moving from top dead center to the bottom dead center, we are adding some more heat, and that is the constant pressure heat addition, right? Also if you add the constant pressure heat addition first and the constant volume heat addition after, then there will be a loss of the work output. We will see with the help of your diagram, we will see later on, right? Now process 4 to 5 is adiabatic reversible expansion, right? Isentropic expansion, as we know. And 5 to 1 is, that is the heat rejection is the same, that is constant volume heat rejection. So these are the PV and TS diagram. So you know that this slope, this is the constant volume graph, this is the constant volume graph, this is the constant pressure graph. And on the TS diagram from the basic thermodynamics, you know that the slope dt by ds in the temperature entropy diagram for the constant volume will be equal to T by Cv, and dt by ds, slope of curve which is constant pressure, will be equal to T by Cp. And we know that Cp is more than Cv, so the slope of the constant pressure curve will be less than the slope of the constant volume graph in the TS diagram. So that's why I show it more horizontal and this is more vertical, right? This is the basic concept of thermodynamics. We all know this. So this is the PV diagram. This is the temperature entropy diagram. Now, if you see, this is the work required during the compression. Here we adding some heat. Let us say QS1 heat supplied in this process. In this process also some heat is supplied, that is QS2. Here we will get some work during the expansion, let us say WE, and here some heat is rejected, let us say QR. So this will be the thermodynamics. Now, if I define some of the ratios, some basic ratios we know. First is compression ratio. During this compression stroke, this compression ratio will be 1 by V1 by V2. Then we already defined cutoff ratio during this constant pressure point. This is known as cutoff point. This is your cutoff point, right? Fourth point is the cutoff point. So cutoff ratio will be V4 by V3. Then we have expansion ratio. During this expansion stroke, we have expansion ratio V5 upon V4, right? We know that how to write this. V5 upon V4 can be written as, this will be equal to, V5 can be written is equal to V1 by V4, V1 by V4, and if I multiply this with V2, and this will be V2, right? V2. So now V2 and V3 are same. V2 and V3 are same. So I can write this is V3. V3 by V2. So this will be equal to, what is this? What is this V1 by V2? This is R. And what is this V3 by V4? V3 by V4 is 1 upon rho. So this will be equal to R upon rho. This we know, right? Already we see this will be equal to R upon rho. So from here you can write that the expansion ratio will be equal to R upon rho. This we know. One more ratios we define in the dual cycle, that is the explosion ratio. That when the explosion will take place, this will be the, with all these ratios are the ratio of the volume, but explosion ratio is the ratio of the pressure. So alpha will be equal to, during this constant volume heat addition, right? Explosion ratio will be defined with the help of letter alpha. This will be equal to pressure at this point 3 divided by pressure at this point 2. P3 by P2 will be defined as alpha, right? These are the some ratios which we define and which we need during the derivation of your efficiency, right? Now, after these basic understanding of the dual cycle, we need to derive the equation for the efficiency of the dual cycle. Stop. Start. Now we have to define what will be the efficiency of the dual cycle. So start solving for it. We know that the efficiency of any cycle will be equal to the net work output divided by heat supply, heat input. This will be the basic equation we know. Now from the first law of thermodynamics for the cycle, from the first law of thermodynamics, if I apply the first law of thermodynamics for the cycle, this is a closed cycle. We already assume that the assumption for the thermodynamic analysis of the IC engine is we can treat it as an closed cycle. So for the closed cycle you can write that the summation of all the heat interaction will be equal to the summation of all the work interaction. Now what is the total heat interaction? QS1, the heat added is QS1 plus QS2. QS1 plus QS2, this is the total heat added. So heat added to the system is positive minus heat rejection. This will be equal to WE minus WC. This is W net. So from here you will get that the net work done will be equal to your QS1 plus QS2 minus QR. This will be the net work done which you will get from the dual cycle, right? Basic thermodynamics equation. So from here I can write that the efficiency of the dual cycle will be equal to net work done is QS1 plus QS2 minus QR divided by total heat supply, that is QS1 plus QS2. So from here I can write the efficiency of the dual cycle will be equal to 1 minus heat rejected upon total heat supply, that will be QS1 plus QS2. This will be the total heat supply. So this is the equation of the efficiency of the dual cycle. Generalized equation, we know all this, right? These type of relation can be valid for all the cycle which you can study during the course of mechanical engineering, right? 1 minus heat rejected upon heat supply, this all we know. Now we want to convert these relation in the term of temperature or in term of these ratios. So start solving for it. First of all, let us find out the different heat additions, heat addition and heat rejection. So let us talk about first process 223. Process 223. First of all, let us discuss about process 223. This is a constant volume heat addition. I am writing that the heat supplied during this will be equal to mCV into T3 minus T2. T3 minus T2. Right? You all know that how we can write this. How we can write this for the only for the one process I am writing like this, that if I apply the first law of thermodynamics for this process, I can write dQ will be equal to du plus dW or PdV. So this work is 0, this is 0, so dQ will be equal to du and du can be written as mCV dt for the two condition. For constant volume process, any substance, for the ideal gas, any process. So here we have constant volume process, so I can write that QS1 will be equal to mCV dt and change of temperature is T3 minus T2. This is your QS1, heat supply during the constant volume process, right? Similarly, for the process 3 to 4, which is a constant pressure heat addition, so I can write this is a constant pressure heat addition. So in this case, QS2 will be equal to mCp dt, that is T4 minus T3. T4 minus T3, right? Directly I can write for the constant pressure heat addition will be mCp into T4 minus T3, right? Because this dQ will be equal to dH and dH will be equal to mCp dt for two condition. Here we have constant pressure process, so I can write this relation, right? Already we talk about all these things in the dual cycle, in the diesel cycle and Otto cycle, so I am not writing again and again all the concepts, right? You all know it very well that how we are writing these equations. So just remember one thing, all the formulas which I derive till now for the Otto cycle, diesel cycle and all these formula for the dual cycle also which I am deriving. So just make one thing very clear that these formulas are only valid when Cp and Cv are constant. If Cp and Cv are not constant, then you cannot write this equation. You have to integrate it from the temperature limits, because in that case Cp and Cv, that the specific heats are a function of temperature. If that is given in the question, most probably 99 to 99.99% chance they will not give that much complicated problem. But in case if they give that Cp and Cv are a function of temperature, then you cannot write these equations. You have to integrate it, right? Just for your understanding of the concept I am saying. For the process 5 to 1, that is the heat rejection. Process 5 to 1, which is a constant volume heat rejection, I can directly write that heat rejection will be equal to mCv into temperature limit is T5 minus T1. T5 minus T1, right? T5 minus T1 for this process 5 to 1. I can write like this. Now we have the temperatures T3, T4, T2, T5, all these temperatures. Now what is our next step is to convert all these processes in the terms of only any one temperature. I will convert these temperatures in the form of T1, right? I will convert it. So just let us convert it. Start from the process 1 to 2. Let us start from the process 1 to 2. So from the process 1 to 2, that is an adiabatic compression, I can write T2 by T1 will be equal to V1 by V2 raised to power gamma minus 1. V1 by V2 raised to power gamma minus 1. And V1 by V2 is R. So from here you can write T2 will be equal to T1 into R raised to power gamma minus 1. Simple. You can write like this, right? T2 will be in that form of T1 is T1 into R raised to power gamma minus 1. This we know. Basic thermodynamics I am using, right? No need to remember the things. Just see the steps and you have to follow these steps only in the question. You will get the answer. Now let us start from process 223. Process 223, which is a constant volume heat addition. So for the process 223, I can write P2 by T2 will be equal to P3 by T3. I can write like this because the ideal gas equation is P2 V2 upon T2 is equal to P3 V3 upon T3. V2 and V3 are same, so I cancelled it out. So from here I can write T3 will be equal to P3 by P2 into T2. P3 by P2 into T2. So from here you will get that T3 will be equal to P3 by P2 can be written as alpha, T2 can be written as T1 into R raised to power gamma minus 1. This is T3 in terms of T1. This is T3 in terms of T1, right? Similarly, for the process now 3 to 4. For the process 3 to 4, you can write 3 to 4 is the constant pressure heat addition. 3 to 4 is constant pressure heat addition. Then we have, for this process, we have V3 upon T3 is equal to V4 upon T4. Constant pressure, because P3 and P4 are same, so I can write like this, right? They will cancel out. From here we have T4 will be equal to V4 upon V3 into T3. So from here you will get T4 will be equal to V4 upon V3 is rho, T3 is this one, rho into alpha into T1 into R raised to power gamma minus 1. This is the value of T4 in terms of T1. Right? T4 in terms of T1. Similarly, for the process 4 to 5. For the process 4 to 5, which is an adiabatic expansion. So I can write from here T5 upon T4 can be equal to V4 upon V5 raised to power gamma minus 1. Right. What is V4 upon V5? V4 upon V5 is rho by R. So this will be equal to rho by R raised to power gamma minus 1. Right? So T5 can be written as, I am writing like this, T5 will be equal to T4 into this one, T4 is this one. So rho alpha T1 R raised to power gamma minus 1 into rho by R raised to power gamma minus 1. I can write like this, right? Simple. Now this R raised to power gamma minus 1, this R raised to power gamma minus 1 will cancelled out. Rho into rho raised to power gamma minus 1 is rho into raised to power gamma, rho raised to power gamma. So this T5 will be equal to, if I write here, this is rho raised to power gamma alpha T1. Rho raised to power gamma alpha T1. This will cancel out. So this is T5. This is T5. Right? This is the T5. If I put the values of these in the efficiency formula, now we don't need these compression ratios. These ratios, let us erase this. Right. Now let us see that efficiency of the dual cycle can be written as, 1 minus heat rejected. Heat rejected is this one, mCV T5 minus T1, mCV T5 minus T1 divided by heat supply. Total heat supply is QS1 plus QS2. This is mCV into T3 minus T2 plus mCp into T4 minus T3. T4 minus T3. Right? If I cancel out m and if I divide this with Cv, this will be equal to 1 minus T5 minus T1 divided by Cv will cancel out. This is T3 minus T2 plus Cp by Cv is gamma T4 minus T3. Now put all the values. 1 minus T5. What is T5? Rho raised to power gamma into alpha into T1. Rho raised to power gamma into alpha into T1 minus T1 divided by, this will be T3 is alpha T1 r raised to power gamma minus 1. Alpha T1 r raised to power gamma minus 1 minus T2 T1 into r raised to power gamma minus 1. T1 into r raised to power gamma minus 1 plus gamma times T4 rho alpha T1 into r raised to power gamma minus 1. Rho alpha T1 into r raised to power gamma minus 1 minus T3. How much T3? T3 is, where is alpha T1 r raised to power gamma minus 1. Alpha T1 r raised to power gamma minus 1. This will be the case. So from here I can cancel out. From here I can cancel out here T1. Right. So this will be equal to 1 minus, in the numerator we have rho raised to power gamma into alpha minus 1 divided by, we have to solve for this denominator. How much this one? How much this one? If I will take r raised to power gamma minus 1 common, this will be alpha minus 1. This will be alpha minus 1. I am writing correctly, no? T5. Okay. Okay. Right. Plus T1 gone, r raised to power gamma minus 1 if I take common into r raised to power gamma minus 1 into rho alpha rho minus 1 alpha also taken common. Alpha also taken common. Right. This will be the case. This will be the case. So this is the efficiency of the diesel cycle, or you can simplify it. This will be 1 minus. So now if I write the relation, the efficiency of the dual cycle will be equal to 1 minus alpha into rho raised to power gamma minus 1 divided by, if I take r raised to power gamma minus 1 common, r raised to power gamma minus 1 into, here we have alpha minus 1, here we have plus gamma times rho minus 1 plus alpha into gamma into rho minus 1. So this will be the efficiency of the dual cycle. This is the efficiency of the dual cycle. No need to remember these equations, right? No need to remember these equations. Just for your clarification, we'll solve it. So this is your equation. Right? This is the equation. Now, right? So this will be the derivation of the efficiency of the diesel dual cycle. No need to remember these things. Just have a look that how we can solve it. Right? Now, if I see that how to remember these things, how to remember? If we will see that how to remember the equations of the diesel cycle efficiency and dual cycle efficiency, I will write like this. 1 second. Yeah. See, efficiency, if you want to remember, how you can remember is, for the Otto cycle, this will be 1 upon r raised to power gamma minus 1. This is for the your Otto cycle, right? For the diesel cycle, we have this can be written like this: 1 minus 1 upon r raised to power gamma minus 1. For the diesel cycle, what I suggest is rho minus 1. Here we have gamma. Here we will multiply this with gamma. Right? Here we will multiply this with gamma. Now, for the you can say this is for the diesel cycle. Now, if you want to write this for the dual cycle, then how you can write? Then if I multiply this with alpha, let us multiply this with alpha, right? No need to know, so this will be not be case, right? You can't remember like this, right? No need to remember, just see the things how to solve for the your derivation of the efficiency of the dual cycle. So this will be the end of the syllabus for Otto cycle, dual cycle, diesel cycle for the GATE perspective.